We like to keep it real and honest with you guys and admit when we do things wrong, when we make mistakes. But one thing I grossly underestimated was the amount of effort that it takes to be organic. And I'm not even talking about like 100% certified organic, because we don't plan, right now anyways, with selling our vegetables and anything we produce out here on the farm. We share a lot with our friends and our neighbors, but I was under the impression that organic, number one, meant something that is different than my understanding of it. And also just how hard it is to truly be organic. If you don't have an opener for your garage door or your roll-up door, it's a worthwhile investment. We've had this thing for a few weeks now, and I just hit a button and it goes up, and it saves time, it saves a lot of aggravation, and as I get older, it's just harder and harder to push that up. But I thought that organic meant something like you don't use pesticides maybe, or you limit your use of pesticides. But being 100% organic is a lot deeper than that, and it actually means like you can't even use man-made fertilizer or fertilizer you buy in a bag. I mean, you're supposed to use compost, manure, all those things. And when you're already at a disadvantage like we are here in Florida with really, really poor soil, it's highly acidic, it's very sandy, it has very low organic matter, and just doesn't have a lot of nutrients. It's hard to grow things well. It's hard to grow them well with man-made stuff, fertilizers, herbicides, and stuff like that. And it's darn near impossible to be weed-free and 100% organic. And I like a weed-free garden. I certainly don't want pesticides or herbicides and any kind of poisons in my food. So for the garden, we've been using a lot of wood chips to keep our weeds down and trying to make our own compost. But on a larger scale, you know, like in a true farmer's field, I just don't know how it happens. It's got to be very labor intensive. So what we're going to do today is use some mechanical tillage in order to keep the weeds down in the new watermelon patch I created at the back of Piney Grove. Trying to be organic is hard, and we need some help. We need some help from our tractors. We need some help from science. And I just wish there was a way where we could grow things, grow them well, get good nutrition from our land, and not have to, you know, use chemicals and man-made things like man-made fertilizer. But I think here at Piney Grove, we're going to be organic-ish, not 100% organic. One of my least favorite things to do is hook up three-point hitch equipment. And to make it harder on myself, I forgot to put the PTO shaft together. So there's only one way that a PTO shaft will go on. There are 3 flanges on this, and it seems like I picked the wrong flange every time, even though it looks like I'm going to get it right the first time. Alright, so I had a 33% chance of getting it, and I got it on the second try. And the reason I take it apart is if I don't use this thing for like a year, there's a chance that could kind of rust together, or the grease in it harden, and then it's really hard to pull apart the PTO shaft. So what do y'all think about organic? Is it something that's an issue with you? Do you buy exclusively organic, or do you buy whatever's the cheapest in the grocery store, or do you grow your own? I guess I look at it this way, is that you go in a grocery store and there's an aisle with organic stuff. Are you 100% certain that that's organic, or has that got just as many chemicals as, you know, a regular farmer that has clean fields and no bugs? Other than spraying and trying to reduce these grasses and weeds around our watermelons here, I'm going to go ahead and till. I've tried to take the vines and orient them so they're not going that way, at least for now. And that way I can get in here and till without damaging the vines. But there's something that is not healthy about these, and they probably have some sort of fungus that needs attention, needs spray, I guess. I'm not going to spray them. I'm just going to let them ride. But that's another thing that it's hard to stay organic with. It's not just about the weeds and the bugs that are constantly attacking your crops, but it's also the diseases and the molds and just so many things that are against you when you're trying to grow. I do want to be a good steward of the land, and I do want to minimize when I'm using things that are harmful to the land. What we found in our garden is wood chips is the way to go. But I didn't have time this spring to wood chip on either side of this. But this is our future strawberry patch. It's just watermelons here to try it. So once these watermelons are done, I'm going to come in here and try to wood chip it. I don't know if I have enough, but I probably have 7 or 8 standing dead pine trees that make great chips. But the first thing I got to do is take down this deer fence so I can maneuver the tractor better. I was going to try and kind of back in here and do it, but when you take shortcuts, they always backfire. At least they do on me. So if you're wondering what that fence or what that was around the garden, it is a 2-layer fence to keep the deer out of the watermelons. Last year we planted a few watermelons back here, and they just started making fruit, and the deer got in here and wiped out the leaves, even though this is a 1-acre field, and I usually have stuff for the deer planted here in the summer. So right now I got iron clay peas that were planted about 10 days ago. They're coming up great. The deer can get in here and graze them. Although I don't want them to, I normally fence this field off with that same type of fake electric 3D fence. But there's a lot of nutrients out here, and hopefully they'll take the sacrificial iron clay peas or cow peas instead of the watermelon vines. And so far it's working. So the idea is, or the theory is that with a 2-dimensional fence or 2 lines of wire, you make one wire at 18 inches, then 3 feet away you make a wire at 4 feet, and the deer think it's wider than they can jump, and they don't think they can jump over the 18, standing at 3 foot, and then jump over the 4 feet. And it's very effective, and it's almost like 100% effective if you use electric. But I found that just stringing up some wire, and that is just some old electrical wire that was given to me years ago, just stringing up some wire and putting some flags on it, deer won't cross that until the weeds totally choke out that wire and they can't see it, and then they'll let the wire hit their skin. I've got iron clay peas in here that are a foot tall or more, and they're volunteer peas that came up from the seeds left from last year's planting, and the deer haven't touched them. But let me jump on the tractor here, get this tilled up real quick, and show you the difference. Let me show you the watermelon, and then I'll jump on the tractor. We've got the long, thin, or I guess the long, they won't be thin when they're done growing. We've got the long watermelons, and then somewhere in here is that baseball size one that's round. I think that's called a Jubilee. It's right here. So there's that one. There's another one in here somewhere, hiding from me. Watermelon are like deer, like they can hide, and watermelon are big, right? But sometimes you're like, oh, my watermelon patch isn't doing good, and then you come back a couple weeks later, or I don't know, 7 days later, and there's a 2-foot long watermelon, and you're like, how did it hide? Deer can do the same thing. If they don't move, you think, oh, I'll be able to see brown in a green forest. But if they don't move, then they blend right in, and it doesn't look like a deer would blend in, but they do. All right, now we're gonna till. It didn't come out perfect, but I did the best I could. And the reason that I did multiple passes is, even though it looks like everything is chopped up on that first pass, and as dry as it is, you saw how dusty it was, this grass and these weeds, they are just super, super, resilient. They're stubborn, they're strong, and they will grow up back through that if that wasn't double tilled. I think in some places I triple tilled it. And the reason I know that is from experience, but from experience from planting these watermelons, because I had this tilled perfectly and there was no weeds or any grass showing except for like the top of chopped pieces of grass. And those chopped pieces of grass, we got a nice rain after that. they re-rooted themselves, like they like clippings from a bush or propagation or whatever it's called. They re-rooted themselves, and like within 3 or 4 days, it was, you know, 50% as weedy as it was before I tilled. So I tried to really chop up what was there, and I know that's not great for the soil to make it that powdery. You'd rather have it clumpy so you don't destroy the microorganisms and stuff in it. But I really want to keep those weeds down, because these vines are going to start spreading really quick. We have the hot days right now that watermelon and cantaloupe love, although my cantaloupe's kind of in bad shape. And this is the last time I'll be able to mechanically come in here and clean up any of these nutrient and moisture robbing weeds. But I was surprised at how dusty and how dry it was. And I've been, you know, it's green there because I've been watering each individual plant. I put out about 100 gallons of water in this row about 2 days ago. And you can see if I hadn't watered, that's what it would look like underneath that plastic. But doing the best we can here. That's how we're trying to stay mostly organic, is through mechanical tillage. And hopefully these watermelon and cantaloupe appreciate it, because we sure love to eat watermelon and cantaloupe. I was watching a video last night. We watch as many YouTube videos as we make. Watermelon is like a superfood, that if you eat a big slice of watermelon, it's mostly water. So you get like a cup of water out of it. It's got a lot of, I think it's magnesium in it, and then a lot of fiber, and not a lot of calories, surprisingly, since it has sugar in it. So it's really not only a good tasting fruit, but also good for you. I'm gonna go get the water wagon and water everything really good. Put out about 100 gallons out here, because we're expecting rain this week, but it's been hit or miss. So 12 miles away, my buddy Hank Hamilton, I got him to plant about an acre of iron clay peas as well. And his have caught up to mine, because he's been getting regular rain and mine are having to struggle through the dryness. So hopefully we get some rain, but I'm gonna water them anyway. But that'll wrap it up. So until next time, y'all take care out there. And remember, life's short, tractor hard, and check out these 2 videos right here. They're totally awesome.